After nearly 200 hours and 15 weeks, I've created yet another portfolio website with such amazing content, like for instance, my YouTube video carousel, in which you can skip through and look at all my recent videos and hover over each video and get that video's statistics. Also, a GitHub feed directly for my account only, which includes deleting and creating branches, making new projects, and every single one of my commits. Tell me you're not interested in that. Or you can come view my amazing blog page, in which I've posted everything I've deemed interesting enough to post here. Also, you can leave a reaction if you'd like to do that. Want to talk with me? No problem. Go to the contact page and fill out this awesome form. And have that emailed directly to me. I'm sure that won't get abused. What an amazing website, right? Well, feel free to visit it at vanbommel.ca anytime you'd like. Alright, well, there are a few interesting features about this project. For instance, I've really only been working on the content of the project for about a month now. Everything else has all been back-end support material to allow for fast production. So this project was built with development in mind. For instance, this project was developed using TypeScript, which is fantastic for finding bugs before you deploy your code, but a little annoying because you have to compile your code, and that can make it a little bit more challenging to make your project neat. For instance, you see here in my index file, you see these relative paths. Well, these relative paths need to work in the build directory and also in the compiled directory. So when you compile, you basically need to have the same folder structure. And the front end of this website is built using React, which includes all of these files here, which it may look like a lot, but these are really just broken down components that work individually to create the output. I tried my hand at some test-driven development. So if we go in here, you can see the tests that I've written for the server. I've also done this for the client. You can go in there and check out the tests for individual modules that I've written. If we go into one of these, you can see the tests that I've written using the Mocha framework. This one's a configuration test, so it goes and loads the configuration file, which is generated on the server start, and checks to make sure that it has certain properties and that those properties are of a certain type. Another example would be, say, my request module, where it basically tests to make sure that it can reach specific websites, and then it tests an invalid URL to ensure, well, to test that it's going to reject it properly. All of these tests are run using GitHub Actions when the project is pushed to GitHub. You can see here the green check marks mean that the test has been successful, and if we scroll down we can see some failed ones there. The server will only pull the repository if a successful test has been performed on the master branch or the main branch. And if we just go into one of these tests, you can see exactly what it's testing. So it sets up the job, does an owner check to make sure the username is Thomas Van Bommel, because I heard that if someone forks your repository, they can also run tests on your machine, so I wanted that not to happen. It checks out the repository, sets up the project, initializes the project, does a build test, so it builds the client, builds the server, makes sure that they can build with no errors, then does a CI test, which is the individual module tests. You can see here the config and request module tests, and then it does some post cleanup jobs there. Every time we get a successful build on the master branch, it will send out a webhook delivery to the server. So I've got the server here on the left, and we're just going to redeliver the last successful message here, which will, as we can see, it's pulling the repository currently. It then switches over to the head and fetches all the new data, and then it runs the start.shell script. Meanwhile, it probably killed the server. Yeah, so the website's down currently. There we go. So it's built the server here. It's webpacked the client, and now it's starting the server. And the website is back online here. This website is secured using TLS certificates and the HTTPS protocol. This is done using certbot, free program to generate TLS certificates, and this was done to prevent information being leaked from the contact page. So it was also set up using the React router, which puts this little weird hash in the URL, which allows basically every page to be bookmarkable. Everything after the hash is parsed, and then you're sent to the correct page. Because this is a single page application, there's no loading in between pages. Once you've loaded one page once, and you go to another, and then you come back, it hasn't loaded anything new. It's basically cached it in memory. Alright, so now I would like to do a little demo of the auto updating and auto deployment here. So you see this little yellow banner at the bottom. That's what I'm going to get rid of. So if we go into the code, we can just go and find out where the banner is, and that should be my app. And we can see the progress banner there. I'm simply going to comment that out. Save. We can then add it to, we're working on the master repository, not recommended, but we're going to do it. And so we've added to the repository, and we'll get push, and we'll say removed progress bar. And that's going to push it up to GitHub. We switch back over here, we can go over to GitHub, refresh. You can see the little yellow dot saying that it's currently doing the checks. If we go in there, we can see that it's setting up the tests and running all those. Perfect, so now it's passed the test. If we go back to the repository, we can see, yep, it's green there, and we can see that the server is now updating. It's initializing the dependencies. Has finished that. It's now building the server. After it created the configuration file, it's now webpacking the client. The server should be down right now, as you can see. We can see that it's starting the server, and it's now listening. And there we are. We have updated it so it removed the yellow bar at the bottom here. Probably very similar to other people's capstones. This project took so long because I was basically iterating through each small part. So for instance, this YouTube carousel, I'm pretty sure had like 3, 4, 5 iterations. You know, the first one's being quite ignorant, and then as you do more research, you figure out better ways to do things. For instance, the routing of my website, I tried to do that all on my own. Realized quickly how much of a mess that was making, and so, you know, a little bit more research, and then you figure out that there's modules already made to do exactly that. So yeah, although it may not look like much, I definitely learned a lot, and it's been a great experience overall. Thanks for watching. Bye.